Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all all for coming this morning. It's 9 o'clock. Today is September the 15th. It's 9 a.m. We're in the Hood County Justice Center here at 1200 West Pearl Street in Granbury, Texas. This is a special called meeting of the Hood County Commissioners Court. The first item that we do have is to make some line item transfers, but before I get into that, we have only 7 items on the agenda here this morning, but if anybody wants to speak on any item, and we got some hot topics here this morning, there is a public participation form that Sheriff Deeds have. So if you want to speak, please fill one out, hand it back to the sheriff. The sheriff will give them to Katie Lang, our county clerk, and then she will bring them up and give them to us, and then we will call you based upon when we get them. So in the order that we receive them. So anyway, having said that, the first item that we have is consider the line item transfer and take appropriate action on the departmental line item transfer facility maintenance contingency. Who are we going to speak on that? You, Ms. Kidd?
Can I speak for all of them, Judge?
Yes.
These are items to where we're getting the money moved now so that when we can get the invoices in, we can get the RVs done and get them paid in the next court. These two departments are trying to use their current money instead of going into Fund 55 capital projects so that we can get some stuff bought without using capital projects money. And that's what all of these are, and I'm just glad that we have this court so we can get this money moved and they can get these purchases done before the end of the year. So this is a really good thing for the county, keeping that money from being spent on capital projects.
Okay.
If you use the microphone, sorry.
You don't talk loud enough.
Usually you do, Ms. Kidd.
Everybody catch all that? Faith, it's a good thing. They're using their own money instead of tapping into capital projects. Therefore, that keeps more in there for other projects coming along. So this, I'm really happy with the sheriff and Jay that they are trying to utilize their funds now and get these things bought. So this is a good thing.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? I think these are all very clearly set out where each department, especially the sheriff's department here, is decreasing certain items and then increasing back into the radio maintenance, for example, for him, and then facilities maintenance, is that he's decreasing building maintenance and decreasing general contingency and then increasing and adding back $55,450 into capital equipment there. So that's what you're talking about, so that they can buy some equipment.
Sir.
Does anybody else have any further discussion that they'd like to make?
No, but I'll make the motion, Judge, to approve the line item transfer and take appropriate action to move the facility maintenance general contingency of $55,450 into A, $55,450 to increase capital equipment, and item B, $38,450 to decrease building maintenance, and C, to decrease general contingency by $17,000.
You want to go ahead and read the rest of them there too, and we'll just do one vote? Since we took them all at one time.
I think can't we do all those on item 2, item II?
Okay, let's go ahead and do capital maintenance first then. Our motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to go ahead and make the transfer in facility maintenance. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now do I hear an appropriate motion regarding the line item transfers for the Sheriff's Department where he's decreasing in 5 areas and then increasing for the radio maintenance?
Judge, I'll make the motion to accept the line item transfers for the sheriffs on number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I'll second that one.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner White to approve the line items in Roman numeral 2, items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, item Roman numeral 3, consider the proposed increase in tax revenues of the proposed budget and take a record vote regarding that increase per local government code section 11.008C. Ms. Kidd.
Judge, that's I believe, 1.2% increase, about $250,000 if I'm remembering. I don't have that document in front of me. Sorry about that. I've got everything else here. But that's something we've talked about on numerous occasions. And at this point, it's a vote for it per commissioner and judge.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Please, the court. So I think this is out of order. I think that we need to we got two options in my opinion. We either bump the adoption of a tax rate to the first item of business and discuss that before we start talking about revenue and budgets, which I just got a copy, the fresh new copy of a budget yesterday morning, or we vote on a tax rate and we postpone the budget until next Commissioner's Court.
These are in order per government code.
Does the government code state that you do the proposed increase in tax revenues first before you consider?
I look back on all the other agendas and in government code, and it's lined out this way.
Would you cite so that you're saying that the government code 111.008C indicates that we have to go in this order?
This is how they are outlined. This is how they've been done.
I disagree with that. How are we going to vote on a budget until we know what our rate is?
This is what, like I said, this is what it's been for a long, long time. I've looked back on numerous
Well, we just had
agendas.
SB2. We've changed. Everything's changed in the last year.
Is Matt Mills here today?
No.
He's in the hallway. He's got a hearing over here. He's got 2 hearings going on. I spoke to him a while ago.
Okay.
Can I ask the commissioner a question? You know, I don't understand either, but one or the other, if we voted on item 5 to increase the tax rate or decrease the tax rate down to 0.423777 first, it's going to, or if we don't do that and we agree to the revenue increase and we don't agree to the tax rate, I don't know which one comes first, or does it make any difference? You're going to have to vote on both today, or we should vote today per government rule. We're out of time. I don't think we can delay it again, can we, Becky? Or
I hope you don't.
Okay, so this is my opinion. We have a 60-day, from the day we received the tax rolls, which was July 20, the appraisal district roll on July the 24th. We have 60 days or till the end of September 30th, to vote on a tax rate. We are complying with that particular statute by voting on a rate today. But it seems to me like you're putting the cart in front of the horse if you're going to vote for a budget before we vote on the rate, because there may be some discussion about the rate that's the way it's on the agenda right now.
Commissioner Eagle, if you will look at 3, 4, and 5, Government Code Section 111.008, the next one is 8 and 9, and the next one is 10. These are in order for the government code verbiage. I don't have any control over that. I pulled them right off the prior agendas and checked them with the government code. This is how they're outlined in government code.
Does the government code indicate that you do it in the order that it's in the government code?
I would assume so, being as it's 8, 9, and 10.
That doesn't, okay. That's your interpretation. Again, I just got your fresh newly drafted copy of the budget proposal yesterday.
It's because there were changes Friday afternoon, and I worked on it this weekend, and I also sent you the exact changes so they wouldn't be hard to locate. And there were not that many.
We saw two. Did I miss another one? Were there more than that? Well, let me say this. The sheriff just told me that our county attorney, Matt Mills, is speaking before Judge Messina right now. I don't see that it makes any difference. We have them all here. I understand what you're saying, Ms. Kidd, and that's the way you've prepared them the previous years that you've been the auditor.
And the other two auditors prepared them this way, too.
Okay. I think in view of that, and that's the way the agenda is going to set out, let's go ahead and consider the proposed increase in tax revenues of the proposed budget and take a record vote regarding that increase per the Government Code 111.008C. And is there any other discussion besides what Commissioner Eagle
I just
said?
want to clear something. Becky, you're saying this is a 1.2% budget
I
increase?
believe you have that paperwork. I emailed it to you.
And then
It's on a form.
250, it's about $250,000 increase.
That's what I'm remembering, sir.
Okay.
Well, when I look at the numbers right here on the budget you sent us yesterday, it shows a $607,474 increase.
There's a difference in budget numbers and actual tax monies coming in.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for an appropriate motion. Does anybody wish to make an appropriate motion? Okay. Oh, that's right. We got to have a record vote. Let's start with.
Do we need the motion first, though? Just point of order, do we? And then vote on it per individual?
Well, I guess it's the same thing.
Let's try
I'll make
just in case.
I'll make the motion that we go ahead and approve the proposed increase in tax revenue of the proposed budget and take a record vote regarding that increase per the record vote. And so in order to do, second? Okay.
By Mr. Deaver.
Okay, and Commissioner Deaver, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Cotton?
Yes.
Commissioner White? Yes. Commissioner Eagle?
No.
Judge Massengill, yes. The motion carries 4-0. 4-1, I'm sorry. Can't add, these numbers are getting so big to me here. All right. Item number 4, consider proposed budget that was the subject of a public hearing on Tuesday, July the 28th, 2020, and Tuesday, August the 25th, 2020, for the Hood County fiscal year 2020 to 2021, including any changes as agreed, and take a record vote regarding that budget. I make a motion that we approve the proposed budget and take a record vote on this item. Here, second.
Second.
A motion been made by County Judge Massengill, second by Commissioner Deaver, that we take a record vote on the proposed budget that's now been considered by us on at least 2 previous hearings and is talked about in, I think, every Commissioner's Court since that time. So all those in favor say aye.
Excuse me, Judge, do we get any discussion? Do we get any discussion? So on August the 25th, we had a hearing on a tax rate based on the no new revenue rate of 0.42677. And we had a hearing on a proposed budget based on that rate. And that proposed budget was published for the taxpayers' review on August the 12th on the Hood County website. During that hearing, the county auditor agreed with me with my assessment regarding fund balance and its relevance as far as our budget is concerned, and that fund balance may be used for certain items. For instance, The upcoming vote that's down the line from this today on this net data versus Tyler software, that if we go to Tyler, we're looking at $1.5 million expenditure. And just a quick history of the fund balance. Over the last 5 years, we have upped our fund balance from $10 million to over $18 million, based on the last Eide Bailly financial report published in February 2020. And we have a very healthy fund balance north of $18 million right now. Whatever the case, at the end of our session on August the 25th, our last Commissioners Court, the court requested that the county auditor prepare a new budget based on the rate of 42377, which is on the agenda today and which is coming up next. At a tax rate of 42377, the average homestead owner will pay an additional $49 a year. Now, there were a series of emails that went back and forth between $49 is what it was published. There were a series of emails. So what are you disputing right there? Let's fix that right now.
It was $42.
Okay, $42.
I know it's pennies, but
you and I have gone back and forth. I have sent you emails, and I sent you a proposed rate where the average homestead owner pays $0 more than they did last year. I got no response back on that.
because everything I send you is going to get on the internet, so I just will talk to you in person.
Okay.
And that's you get burnt. And I'm fully aware, I've been here a long time, that all my emails are subject to open records. I try to be as professional, as polite as I can be. But with the email I received from you, I immediately talked to the judge. Do you want to move forward in this direction? And that will hurt the county, so we don't want to do that.
Well, that's
what I'm supposed to do. He is the fiscal budget officer. This is his budget. It's not mine.
No, this is the commissioner's budget. This is not judge court. This is commissioner's court. I know he's the chief financial officer, but he doesn't make the decision on his own.
I do not make the decision, but I do propose the budget. That's
correct, and
Yes.
that's what we're
the
talking
budget.
about, right?
That's it.
And see, I can't come to each of you and ask you questions. That's polling. So I go right to the judge and say, here's what's been proposed. What do you think? I try to help each of you that have proposed things without causing problems or getting in trouble by the law. You made a good point, Commissioner Eagle, in talking about fund balance. So I have done my homework and my research. I've talked to other auditors, and I talked to our new outside auditors, Kinnemer, Masters, and Lunsfords, and they've all said 6 months is a conservative estimate, and that we should be very happy that we have more than 6 months. I've talked to them about utilizing some of those funds so we don't have to borrow money. The way I look at it going forward, if you utilize that money now, you'll save over $250,000 in interest that we would have had to borrow $2.5 million to do what we need to do.
What do we need to do?
You have a list of that, capital projects.
So is one of them converting from Tyler to net data?
Yes, sir.
And that's $1.539 million you've listed, right?
It was, and I believe all of you got an email regarding that cost. It has gone down, and they will allow us to pay it out.
Yeah,
So
that email came after hours last night, and I saw
got it the same time you did. I got it this morning, but I was happy to see that they're working with us to try to lower the cost and create a plan where we could pay it out.
So let me make sure I'm with you on this, okay?
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to sit up here and fight with you.
I don't want that either.
But here's the deal. We haven't voted on net data versus Tyler yet.
No,
we
sir,
don't
you
know
haven't.
we don't know if we're going to make that move yet.
Absolutely. So this is a placeholder. When you have a budget item called transfer from prior fund balance, you can utilize it or not. It can go away, it can stay there, but it's there if you need it, and that's the best plan I can give you. But with your capital projects where we were going to have to borrow $2.5 million, we don't have to borrow that money.
But again, 1.5 million of that is assuming that we're going to make we're going to go and take net data and transfer everybody that's on net data currently.
Absolutely,
and
an
go to
assumption.
Tyler.
It's an assumption, but if you do, you have the money. I do not want you to get caught off guard and go, well, we can't do it, we don't have the money. So you have the money. And this
So have you discussed, were you aware that Tyler has already, the representative Tyler has already discussed with us that it's going to take 18 to 24 months to implement Tyler, if that's chosen, if the court chooses to do that, the county chooses to do that, and that we're not going to be paying a $1.5 million upfront bill this year, it can be spread out over the next 2 to 3 years as a budget item. Were you aware of that?
Again, I got the email this morning, and I believe their rep is here, and if they would like to come explain it, I'd be happy for them to explain it.
The point is that if we don't spend the money, it doesn't just go away. We
No, sir.
keep the money where, Ms. Kidd?
You keep it in fund balance.
Keep it in fund balance, so in
it's-
case something comes up later on, we
Yes, sir.
got the money. So just because we got the money doesn't mean we have to spend the money.
No, sir.
But the difference between going with the .42377 budget, which increases the average homestead by $42 a year, isn't that what the deal is?
Yes, sir. You've
And
dropped
what's the
it.
difference if we get it zero? What does the county lose in revenue if we just say instead of every household, don't buy 2 Whoppers a week for a month?
Over $1 million, well over.
Over $1 million. So it's kind of just saving money for a rainy day, even if we don't switch to
We have
Tyler.
quite a few capital projects we need to address. The radio is a big issue for the Sheriff's Department. The things on this capital list have been shoved down the road for a long time. This enables us to reduce fund balance, and I understand that from Commissioner Eagle, and move forward with projects that need to be handled. This county is growing. I don't want to see this county go backwards. I'm happy to pay an increase to have the items on here. We need to refurbish fire trucks. We need to move forward. And this is a good plan. There's no borrowing of any money anytime soon. And that should make everybody
That's why you and I
happy.
were talking about that we wanted to give our county employees a 2% increase, the
Yes, sir.
county employees, but no increase for elected Hood County officials.
And that's what's in this budget. Only the elected officials did not
That's right,
receive a
because
raise.
there's a lot of people that are hurting, and we want to keep the money here and try to do what's best for Hood County as a whole. And we elected officials, our primary duty is to serve Hood County and its citizens. So since we're still hurting in a lot of areas, you and I talked about it. We said, hey, we make the citizens, they pay $42 more, and the elected officials don't take a raise. That's what we're proposing.
That's correct.
What I'm proposing here.
And
that's just making good sense for the future. We save on interest if we have to do something later on. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And I hate to even bring this up, but in 2 or 3 years, or 4 years, hopefully longer, we're going to have a jail up here. It would be nice to have some
Nice
money
we have
in
some
it.
reserves to start that project and not hurt the taxpayers as much, and that's my plan.
And
Well,
we still need some more fire trucks, too, to get refurbished, don't we?
Yes, sir.
You even cut back on police vehicle, or sheriff vehicles, didn't you, for in this budget? Didn't you?
There's 6 planned. Again, it's a placeholder.
You cut back from 6 to 4 vehicles?
I left it at 6 as a placeholder just in case there was something happened, because I was able to, with this moving money from prior year, was able to take care of everything on here except the cameras for the interview rooms and the trunking system. Donald Lenny has budgeted his equipment out of his budget. No capital money will be used for that. And like I said, the budget amendment we just did, that took care of the items except for the roof repair on the jail for building and grounds. So people have really tried to utilize their funds now, so moving forward, we don't have to borrow money.
You told me that the .40 tax rate would would take away $1.1 million of revenue, right?
Yes, sir. And just for clarification, when we got the preliminary numbers from the appraisal district, they were so low, we all went in panic mode, and we cut the budget. We cut $700,000 out of our budget. Now, giving your employees a 2% increase bumped that up to just right at $300,000. And you've worked really hard to get all these employees at a living wage. There are still employees who are under $28,000, just a few. But that was one of the goals of the judge, and I commend you for that, because we have lost less people in the last 2 years than we have in prior years. So you've done a good job, and thank you for that.
So your raises are $288,000.
After you take away what was in there, what was budgeted for the elected, somewhere around there. Yes, sir.
And I'm not taking issue with raises necessarily. I'm talking about $1.5 million that's been factored into this for net Tyler, or net data versus Tyler, which we haven't done yet.
I understand.
And also election equipment, which has not been done yet.
I understand that.
And not sure that we need to do yet.
And it's just budgeted. That does not mean you have to spend this, but I'd rather you have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
So your philosophy, if I'm hearing you right, and I just want to make sure I understand it, is that we increase the tax on the, we impose a tax rate on the citizens of this county so that we can have a $4 million surplus like we did last year to have discretionary funds to do with in capital improvements or what have you, instead, for instance, of a new jail, which in my opinion is a taxpayer vote. That's a bond issue that the taxpayers, in my opinion, ought to decide what we do about.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. But if you are careful with your money, the impact will be much less on the taxpayer, by far. I don't have a plan for just this year. I'm planning for this county moving forward. We have, on the library, that's the bond note we paid down on. We started with $2.3 million. We paid in 2 extra payments, and we've saved $96,227. You'd have to borrow about $2.5 million to get this equipment. So you're saving $254,980 in interest right off the bat.
There won't be any interest on the Tyler deal.
I understand that, but we have talked numerous times about borrowing money to get the cameras and all the things on Capitol. We had been discussing borrowing that money. We do not have to borrow that money, and we will save this amount.
And we're not talking about, if we were talking about every residential homestead here increasing it to $4,000 or even $1,000, that's a lot of money. But $42 versus what the county would be saving and the revenue, it just makes sense, from my point of view, that we should keep the .42377 rate and kind of spread it around a little bit and let everybody pay $42 more and get the increased revenue and reduce the interest. That's what we're trying to do.
This county is growing exponentially, and you have to keep up with it. You will need more fire trucks at some point. I want you to have the money to do it.
We still got 6 fire trucks to refurbish, or 5?
Jeff?
Yes.
7? 6.
Yes.
And that's $350,000 apiece, isn't it?
Between 325 and 340.
And that's 6 fire trucks, and like the air packs. I mean, we got to give our first responders, the least we can do is to give them the best equipment that we can give them so they can protect us, our lives and our property. I mean, we got to do that.
And this court has been extremely generous in helping them. We've given them 30 air packs, and we have the other 10 budgeted with this money. So that will get them all the air packs that they need.
And I have noticed, I have no disagreement on essential services like fire, I had not ever brought that up today. I'm not disputing that or calling that into question as far as the numbers that you've factored in the capital projects for the radios, cameras, et cetera. We've all agreed on that.
Yes, sir.
All I'm talking about is over nearly $2.5 million on items we hadn't even addressed yet, and we may decide not to go.
I understand. But again, I took your advice and utilized our fund balance to pay down, to get our fund balance down like you wanted me to do.
So what do you project our debt rate, service rate to be after this transfer?
0.44.
Which is what it's been, right?
It's pretty close to that. It was a little higher last year, but I don't need quite as much money this year.
And you and I discussed that it's probably prudent for a county government entity to carry about a 5-cent debt rate, correct?
As close as we can get to that. But again, if I can't get it up there, I'm not going to burden the taxpayers with that. I'm going to keep it as close to what we have to pay with a little extra to pay down on this money and save money in the long run.
So to do these, if you didn't get the extra revenue, you would have to borrow the money at the first of the year?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Okay, do I hear an appropriate motion?
Well, we was on item 4, Judge. You made the motion, I second, and we hadn't voted.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I did, we had the discussion,
Got
you're right.
somebody- Did you,
Okay.
who wants to speak back there?
Okay. Mr. Shirley, do I? Okay. You want to speak on your budget?
Yes, sir.
I guess now's as good a time as any to go ahead and address that, right?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Judge. I was appointed the Constable of Precinct 2 almost 2 years ago by the previous Commissioner's Court and County Judge. During my interview for this position, I was asked if I would have a problem with sharing an administrative assistant with other elected officials or with another elected official. Being a true fiscal conservative, I answered that I was not looking to build a kingdom, and if that employee did their job, why would I care? What I didn't know walking out of that interview was that this employee was going to do everything in their power to see to it that I failed. And I'm a tad suspicious some in that meeting knew that already. I've now come to understand all too well why elected officials have to be able to fully trust their staff members, and why sharing someone else's loyal employee who secretly wants to destroy you, while fiscally smart on its surface, is a bad idea in practice. I've been as transparent as possible about the issues I've had with my former shared admin. While I take no joy in repeating their grossly unprofessional conduct, I will briefly cover a few of the low points here. Constantly backbiting and rumor mongering inside and outside the office. Regular cursing in the office. Referring to another elected official by a racial epithet on a regular basis. Increasing errors on my paperwork throughout 2019. Intentional sabotage of interoffice relations. Not taking and giving phone messages. As every member of this court is painfully aware, I came to each of you individually late last year following the coup de grace of all toxic nuclear rumors coming out of my shared office. Sexual harassment. I categorically denied it then, and I categorically deny it now. All of you, as in every single one of you, looked me in the eyes, agreed with my plan of action, and gave me your word that my office would have an administrative assistant refunded in the next budget. 2 of you on that dais right now even apologized to me for putting me in this situation to begin with. What didn't the court do in late 2019? They made zero effort to find any money or a workaround to get my office administrative help for the duration of the 2019-2020 budget. In fact, I would argue there are some in this room right now that actively worked behind the scenes to make sure I didn't get any budgetary support. Be that as it may. Another elected official's administrative assistant volunteered to help me with my administrative paperwork for 0 extra compensation. She volunteered to do extra. She volunteered to help. This is the kind of public service employee that everyone in this room and everyone in this county should herald and support and pay more. Commissioners Court was lobbied to get this employee some extra money. It fell on deaf ears. I was given lame excuses as to why it wasn't possible, even while other county employees were given mid-year raises. Inequality, a theme that rings true in so many ways when it comes to how this county treats its employees. But I digress. When budget time came back around a few months ago, I quickly updated my draft budget request to include an administrative position. I didn't go back and try to lobby Commissioners Court again. I already did that. They already gave me their word that my office and constituents of Precinct 2 would be treated fairly in the upcoming budget process. Imagine my surprise and disbelief when the draft budget was published with no refunding for a Precinct 2 constable admin. There must be a mistake, I thought to myself. They gave me their word. You may laugh at the political naivety of this statement. Even I do now. So what changed? I posit that it was likely purely politics. I was outspoken in my opposition to the county and this court's COVID-19 overreach, a stance I stand behind 100% to this day. I was outspoken when some members of this court seemingly dragged their feet in getting constables working radios to allow us to safely communicate with other law enforcement in the county, following a year of limited radio communications ability. I dared to disagree. I dared to voice my opinion. I pledge today that I will not stop being a voice for my constituents and for what I believe to be right. What I didn't do was call any of you out by name. I railed online and in public about policy differences, but without getting personal. I also point out that I have a very articulate and outspoken wife. It's one of the many things I admire about her. There have been several times in the recent past where she has publicly taken members of this court to task, by name, over things she disagreed with. Could the change of heart in my office's budget be because of a little heat from constituents? Do members of this court expect me to shut my wife up, as was suggested by a previous member of this court the day after I was sworn in? I sure hope that's not the case. But then again, who knows? Some of you may point to budget shortfalls, or appraisal district warnings, or the funding cap passed by the legislature last year. The reality is population is up, houses have been and are still being built, people are spending money, and there's money in this county's budget to fund my admin position. If that isn't enough, I pointed out in open court, as well as in emails to all members of Commissioners Court, there are two very clear events that will make the workload of my office, as well as the other constables' offices, increase significantly, if not exponentially, in the coming year. On September 1st, 2020, the statutory limit in Justice Court doubled from 10,000 to 20,000. This is expected to result in the more than doubling of a caseload over the next couple of years in the Justice Court, which in turn means more than double the amount of papers this office will constitutionally be required to serve, as well as more than doubling of the number of bailiff hours each office must staff. Second, due to the economic impact of COVID-19 on everyone, the number of civil actions in all courts is expected to spike over the next year. The increase in just evictions will likely be exponential for a time. The increase in debt claim cases, now up to $20,000, will also spike and stay high for the foreseeable future. As Constable of Precinct 2, it would be irresponsible for me to not come before you now and make a final plea. The taxpayers of Precinct 2 contribute a large portion of the money this county uses to fund its services. Those taxpayers deserve the same level of services as all other precincts. Precinct 2 is not the proverbial stepchild of the county, and neither am I. My constituents voted to re-elect me to this job. It's your job to give me the resources to do my job. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you, Constable Shirley. Thank you. Okay, is anybody else wants to speak, Ms. Kidd?
I'm just waiting for a vote, sir.
Do what?
I'm just waiting for a vote.
Anybody else want to make any comment, any further discussion?
Before we vote on this
Item 4.
item 4, just want to point one thing out. The proposed budget that was published on August the 12th showed that our IT department a change of $1,800. And the last one you sent us last week is
more.
I got the one that I got yesterday showing an addition of a new assistant. Where did that come from?
That's for someone to do open records because it's apparently gotten extremely out of control. We get open records. Where's Drew? Drew? Melissa? I need some help here. They are inundated with somewhat frivolous open records sometimes. Being as everybody else here wants to speak freely, I will too. I've understood what's going on. When you do an open records and it ends up costing $8,000, $9,000, $1,000, you do all this work, then they don't even come get it. You have burdened that department for that. Drew has been putting in numerous hours, and the treasurer can verify his timesheets. Melissa has them daily. Ryan Sinclair, he's here. They're a problem for your office, right, sir? So this is trying to take some of the burden off of these departments so that we can designate one person to do all of them for everybody but Ryan. Ryan has his own person because his is a little more sensitive nature than the emails and such that we have.
But you understand, and I'm just trying to, we're just having a conversation here.
This was a late, last-minute item, and I'm the first to tell you that. And that's why I sent you detail. Here's what the changes are. This is a work in progress. I think we're all done. But that came up, and I've talked to the players, and they said, please get us some help. So you understand that when you have a department come up here that before he came into office, he's an elected official, there were decisions made where they agreed to split an assistant that didn't work out so well when a new elected official came into office. You understand that there's a disconnect there when on September 8th, there was no extra assistant in IT factored into this budget, and as of yesterday morning, there is one. Does that? Yes, sir. I fully understand that, and I also have had some conversations with the judge regarding Constable 2, and I understand the reasoning. And I believe the judge is being very, very kind and just not going into discussion regarding that.
I don't recall Commissioner's Court approving of another employee in IT.
Well, it's in the budget. You'll either say no or yes. That's, again, we're doing the best we can. And when you have a department head who's begging for help, Melissa she is absolutely at her wit's end on these open records. I don't know what else to do.
Well, you and I have discussed that, and you talked to the district attorney, Ryan Sinclair himself, saying that most definitely IT was overworked due to the open records request.
And the county attorney had been speaking with Matt, with Drew, and they had come to the conclusion, we didn't know where to put this person. And they all suggested put this person in Drew's budget.
Right. We were talking about maybe giving part-time to either the DA or to the county attorney and put them in their office, and they both decided that it would be best to put the person in the IT department.
Yes, sir.
Because both the district attorney and the county attorney would still have to review the open records before the open records were furnished to the requesting party.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's something that you had asked in the past, that you wanted two eyes on it,
and
which is nothing but
I'm going to tell you
prudent.
one thing. I'm also going to request that I'm just going to be open and honest. I know that Constable Shirley has asked for a bunch of open records requests, and there's, hundreds of documents that he's asked for? Good?
True.
Regarding this? I'd like to ask it, because I want to ask, the county has to pay the bill for any open request. Is that state law? if you know, Mr. Sinclair, that the county has to do it, or can we pass the cost to the individual or entity that requests the open records?
Well, sir, you do pass it to them.
So they have to pay it? Yes, Mr. Sinclair? Yes, can you address that?
I have to check the law on that particular question regarding open records. I can't say for sure one way or the other to that particular issue.
I can address it if you want me to.
Okay, well, yeah, anybody here. Constable Jordan, yeah, do you know?
Yes, sir. So the open records law, 551 and 552, one of them has to do with open meetings, and one of them has to do with records, has a built-in mechanism that if the request is going to cost more than $45 in time and expense, the government entity sends that back to the requestor and says, here's a rough estimate of how much this is going to cost. Do you still want to do this? And that weeds out a whole bunch. Now, I can't answer for Mr. Sinclair's. His requests are in a little bit different category than when you referred to Constable Shirley, for instance.
I didn't refer to Constable Shirley.
Well, when the judge did. But whatever the case, that is a charge that's passed back to the requestor. And my guess is, and I don't have statistics, I'd love to have quantified assertions in front of me when assertions get made, but I'm going to make this one. I would bet you that a lot of these open records requests go away when you hit them with a bill.
But there's, again, there's your problem.
Only if it worked that way.
And so to follow that up, then I think that that's a subject for a future commissioner's court to decide whether we decide that there needs to be an employee dedicated in the IT department for that reason. It's my opinion.
I don't think we're approving an employee for you right now. We're just putting it in the budget.
Yes. Yeah,
we can turn that down. If you don't have a good excuse of why you want it, we'll turn it down. But what I hear from Becky is you're putting it in the budget so our hands aren't tied. If we want to go that way, we'll have it in the budget.
Yes,
so
sir.
I just want to make that clear.
And Drew's going to explain what happens.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and you're absolutely correct, Commissioner Eagle. About 50% of the time. However, there are certain requests that are so vague and so vast that it will take hours regardless to even gather the information and sift through it to make sure it does meet the requester's request. And that right there is what we are currently hit with, where we would spend tens and hundreds of hours, man hours, to just try to gather the information to give a person a quote, whether or not they want to pay for it or not. Because there are certain, again, because they are so vague.
So that's built right into the statute. And believe me, I know because I've done a bunch of open records requests. And I've gotten a letter right back to me saying your request needs to be narrowed in scope, because if it's not, this is going to cost a lot of time and a lot of expense. So that partially, and I don't want to get into too big of a back and forth here, but that's partially on your end of it as to how, if you just told us it's vague. If it's vague, you send it back and say, this is too vague. Please narrow your request so that we understand. The average person can sit there and read it and understand what they're asking for. You have an absolute right as a government entity to do that.
Yes.
Did you do that, Drew? Did you do that?
Yes, we have gone back and forth multiple times, and we are still continuing that right now.
And how many hours do you do in that process of, is your request vague in general, or it needs to be more specific? How much time do you do in that process?
Every time we send out a bill, that's our process, is we sift through everything regardless, send them a bill, and then it just goes back and forth from there on how or why they don't want to pay for it or whatever the case may be.
So he has to redo it because they go, that's too much money, can you do this?
That's correct, thank you. And then they come back with a different scope of work, which is something completely different, but at that point, it's easier just to do the first scope of work because it costs less man-hours. Because now you're investing even more man-hours to try to do the second scope of work. And that's how it keeps going back and forth. So it's like the request changes after you send that back going, hey, could you please be more specific? Then the request changes.
Drew,
and then, of course,
excuse me, do you personally do the open records?
right now, Owen's full time is doing open record right now.
But I mean, do you do them too?
I assist where I can, absolutely. But right now, Owen's
So it's
Owen's
real
been the one
easy.
that's doing it. I've dedicated Owen to doing that right now.
So it's easy to say that $45 to $50 an hour it costs to do open records.
Correct.
When you add the benefits, retirement, everything.
That's correct. And I mean, if that's the way, and that's fine, if that's what the county wants to do, then that's fine. I have no problem with that. I mean, we will continue moving forward the way we do it.
No, I'm just trying to figure, get a cost in my head.
But it does, and that's the problem, is it takes man-hours to compile the bill to send it to them. And that's the issue that we run into. And then, of course, not only that, the man-hours it takes for me to talk to Matt and then talk to Melissa and, to try to understand and agree to what the requester's trying to say before we even send that back out, the information back out. So now you're not only wasting my time, you're wasting Matt Mills's time as a department head, Melissa as an HR department head, my time as a department head, Owen's time as assistant department head. I mean, again,
Yeah, three or four department heads.
that's what I was
doing
going to
this.
say. I mean,
It's
that's
clogging
fine.
up. And Melissa, would you like to say anything on it or make some comments? Because I know I'm in your building, I see the stuff that comes, don't see the stuff that comes through of it. I know you have to take out of your time to take care of open records also.
And that is correct. Now, I don't deal on the IT side of it, but a lot of times, I would say I get one request daily if I was to spread them out between animal control, fire marshal. They're nothing huge. However, it is up to me to make sure that the correct information is redacted. Matt Mills has been very helpful. And a lot of times, Drew is exactly right. We do spend a lot of time just going back and forth, dealing with the requester. We're not allowed to ask them what they're looking for, so we have to be very vague in what we ask the requester. But we also try to help them, if possible, narrow down their request so that it's less expensive for them and possibly less man-hours on us.
Only the second budget, second budget I've been working on. This was never a problem before. What's caused this?
It's always been a problem, Judge.
It has.
It has always been a problem. Yes, always.
Yes, sir, it has.
That's why it was brought up when the DA presented his budget, and he was like, hey, could we maybe get someone? We were all, yes, please, give us a person. It doesn't matter whose department it goes in. Sure, we would love a person to help out.
And that's exactly right. It doesn't matter what department it's in. And I believe it should be someone with a little bit of legal background.
Yeah, I agree. That's just what I was
That's where
starting to
you
say.
can get in trouble.
It needs to be somebody either in Mr. Sinclair's department or Mr. Mills's department to look at that, to make the determination before it even goes to IT, or to try to figure out or try to even spend any time to look at the request to see if it meets the specificity argument that you even know what you're looking for. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Did
Just
we
for the
add
record,
a-
I spoke with our county attorney on this, and he indicated to me he doesn't have a problem, so I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I think he said that in court also. He said he's always willing to help, so.
Yes, and he
And
is
he
very
has.
helpful.
He's dedicated his office manager to redact. That's who redacts everything.
And Judge and Commissioners, the amount budgeted was $39,000. I don't think you can get a qualified attorney for that amount. You have some options. You can use that as a part-time salary to try to get a qualified attorney, or here at this meeting, you can do away with it or increase it, whatever your pleasure is.
And the judge didn't say qualified attorney, he said a legal background. There's a difference.
Well, tell me, Mr. Sinclair, do you think that you could get an attorney, a licensed attorney, to work part-time to help with the request for open records?
For $39,000, is that what I understand the question?
Yeah, say 20, what would that be, 20 hours a week or something like that? I mean, I don't know.
I can't say for sure if you can get somebody qualified with a legal background for that amount of money. I would say if you did do that, it'd probably be somebody maybe towards the end of his or her career looking to slow down a little bit, but not entirely leave the workforce and to come in on a part-time basis. But I think ideally for the county's ultimate benefit, you would want somebody, as Commissioner Eagle stated, with some sort of legal background, familiar with the open records law, the government code, and familiar with the kinds of things that a county government and the multiple departments in county government deal with so that they can appropriately respond to those requests. So, I mean, I think $39,000 probably is going to be a part-time position if you want somebody qualified with that kind of background to appropriately benefit the county. Does that answer your question, Judge?
Right. I think that's exactly who we need, somebody towards the end of their career that would like to do that.
Yes, sir.
I think it's wise to.
Thank you. Okay.
Commissioner Jordan, Constable Jordan.
We know who he is.
No disrespect, but I'm trying to understand where the law changed it and made it to where we, and you as elected officials, we're responsible for open records. He's not, she's not, we are. The law says if they send it to us, we have to respond. We have to gather the records. In a previous court, this county decided to push it all off on HR, which is not her job. It is the job of each official to handle our open records request. We have a duty to respond within 10 days. We can be held liable if we don't respond in 10 days. And then to say that we're charging $45 an hour whenever this last year we passed in court, that we have it in the fee structure that the sheriff submitted for our open records request of what we can legally charge for open records requests. And that's $28.50 an hour, not $45. But I'm trying to understand how it is now we need another person to do something that we as elected officials are required to do.
He said it costs them to process $45 an hour.
But those are the
Just
fee
clearing that
structures
up.
that were set. It doesn't negate, even if somebody, even though we have HR and we have IT designated, we get stuff sent to us all the time and we're required to respond to it that has nothing to do and doesn't even go through IT. So it kind of makes a lot of us wonder what's really going on here, where we're creating a position and stuff that we're already required to do and a lot of us do. And once we go through it and redact and take care of things, then we submit it for review to the county attorney. Hey, does this meet what I need? And if somebody is too vague in their response, we're required to send back, request is too vague. We don't guide them because I'm not an attorney and I'm not going to give them guidance on what they need to try and find.
Well, that's just what Drew said.
Official, we're required from when
that's just what he said, though. He gets it, sends it back, and then another vague request comes, and then he has to look at that, and then another vague request comes back on the deal.
And,
so.
and we respond to nothing back. We're required to take open records training when we take office. Each elected official in the state is. Each department head that runs a department. The AG gives us that training to prepare us to handle these things.
Constable, do you have the ability to go into what I understand he does, he has to go on a computer and look to see how many emails are out there. Can you do that?
It's a keystroke going into searching emails on the database.
And so anybody can do that, right, Drew?
So yes and no. If you delete, say you deleted an email, you wouldn't be able to see the deleted email.
And they have everything on the server, so we would submit that to him and ask for a time frame to meet whatever it was.
And that's what's going on right now. Is we give out the open records, and we just get back, myself and Owen, of, hey, just go ahead and pull all of our stuff. And
but several of us is like, we all have to deal with open records. So.
Totally
Wait a second. Y'all talking over each other. Thank you, Constable Jordan. Drew, I want you to tell me now what happens. They ask for deleted stuff, and you're the only department that can pull up the...
That is correct. That is correct. So that holds true until you start deleting emails. Then you cannot see the deleted emails you deleted if you emptied your deleted bin. Therefore, we would have to go back and pull everything regardless. And that's the issue that we get, is even if I get an open record or Melissa gets an open record, she sends it out to the departments going, hey, here's an open records request, please respond. And then the next thing we get is a email from the department head going, hey, I need you to pull all my emails from this date, and then send them over to me. So then we have to do it regardless. So I would be all for Constable Jordan's understanding of the department heads take care of it, because then I'd be out of the equation. So I'm all for that, but how can I tell a department head no, I guess that's kind of where I'd be stuck at, between a rock and a hard spot, because someone would have to take liability.
Judge, if you don't mind, maybe, you know, I think we've got into trying to justify your job, and I don't think that's what we're here to do. Could we, if we're trying to get the budget done,
Yeah.
Could we bang this item up as an item on the budget and vote down the line whether or not we should put this amount of money in the budget for a potential future employee and get through this, and either put it in the budget or not? Why can't we do that?
You're asking just to put it as a placeholder, and then wait?
We're not hiring him. We're not agreeing to hire him. We're trying to get through the budget. Do we want this amount of money in the budget? I think I've got enough information to make a vote. Now, unless somebody else needs some more information, let's get it either.
Item number 4, we got a motion and a second, and we need to go down the line and vote for it.
Right. Okay.
I vote yes.
All right, Commissioner Cotton.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Eagle.
I'm going to vote no for now.
Okay. Judge Massengill, yes. So the motion carries 4-1. Okay, this brings us to item number 5. Consider whether to adopt the order to set the Hood County property tax rate at a rate of .423777 for $100 valuation, which is less than the no new revenue rate for the fiscal year 2020-2021, and take a record vote on the tax rate order per local government code 111.010 and tax code chapter 26. Ms. Kidd.
I just have one thing to bring out. In going back and taking the form, I believe it's 8586, something like that. It's the state form on how to figure property tax. I went back and ran 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And I was bothered by 2019, and I'll explain why. In 2016, the appraisal district recommended a rate of .42230. That's the rate that you gentlemen went with, or the court went with. In 17, their rate was .415917. We went lower than that, .415744. In 2018, the appraisal district recommended .428018. You went with that rate. In 19, the appraisal district recommended .400168, and you stayed with the rate of .428018. This year, the appraisal district recommended .426777. I don't know what happened in 19, but that's an anomaly. I have run all the numbers, and I cannot understand why it is that much lower. There is no reason for a property tax rate to drop nearly 3 cents in 1 year. So I just wanted to bring that information out. So I am glad that you gentlemen went with the rate from the prior year, or we've been in trouble.
And those are the rates from the appraisal district?
Yes, sir.
You're reading? Okay.
And that's all I have.
What is the, for Senate Bill 2, what is the no new revenue rate? It's not.
.426777.
Okay. And we're proposing 423,777.
Yes, sir.
Less than the no new revenue rate.
And less than the rate you have now. So you're nearly half a cent down.
Lower than the property tax rate charged last year. Okay, I want to get that in there, so.
You realize that appraisals have gone up, so that's what brings.
Which still increases what the taxpayer pays.
Yep.
Just want to make sure that's in the record.
Okay, by $42 per year. I want to make sure that's in the record.
That's an average.
Okay. That's all right. Thank you, Commissioner Eagle. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adopt the Hood County property tax rate at a rate of .423777 for $100 valuation for the fiscal year 2020-2021, and take a record vote on the tax rate order per the local government code 111.010 and the tax code, chapter 26.
So moved.
Motion been made by Commissioner Beaver,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cotton. All those in favor, say aye.
Record vote.
Record vote, Judge.
Record vote, Judge.
Record vote.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, any more discussion? Okay, Commissioner Deaver.
Yes.
Commissioner Cotton.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Eagle.
No.
County Judge Massagill, yes. Motion carries 4-1. Okay,
Oh, this next one's easy.
yeah. All
It's the
right.
salary matrix that
The
has,
salary makeup, consider to take appropriate action to approve the 2021 salary matrix. Please explain that very briefly.
okay. I took the current matrix for 2020 and added 2% to every category, and that's all the change is. It's just a 2% increase. No one got us, that's just the way that makes it easy.
And this was just for county employees,
County
not
employees.
for any elected.
No elected official got an increase.
We're out of the matrix anyway.
You're not on the matrix.
Yeah. But I just like putting that in there that we're not getting a raise, so.
I understand.
I'll make that motion to approve the 2021 salary matrix.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the 2021 salary matrix, second by Commissioner White. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, now here's another little one. Item number 7, this will not be any type of a heated discussion, I can see that coming, but item number 7, the last one, I believe. Yes, it's discuss and take appropriate action regarding converting from net data software to Tyler Odyssey for departments not currently utilizing Tyler Odyssey. Mr. Drew Whitaker.
Good morning, gentlemen, back again. I know this item has been delayed a few times. Really, all I can say at this point is last court, you know, everyone got up to talk and voice their opinion. And of course, the court has met with both reps from both companies independently. I would hope that that is enough information to make a decision today, regardless of whatever choice you want to make.
I got a question to ask you, Mr. IT. This is going to affect you a bunch, and I'm going to put you in the hot seat. And I know this is going to cost a little bit of money either which way we go. I know we're going one way. I think it's going to cost a whole lot more. But am I right to consider, to ask, if we go to the Tyler route, does it pay for itself in a matter of years? And if so, is that the direction you want this court to go one way with one system, or continue going the way we are? I need a recommendation from you.
My recommendation and standpoint has always been to move to Tyler from the very beginning.
Okay, if we move to Tyler, can you show the taxpayers out there we're making the right move to save the county money?
In the long term, yes, because I could essentially, what I have over there, and I've gotten an email, of course, to the court members, the years of Tyler, and of course, the years of net data. And of course, last court, it threw me up, of course, because I guess I didn't understand when Katie asked about the budgeting costs. And so, of course, our Tyler rep, if we did because we already pay for, I guess, the Odyssey module for Tona, the district clerk, that would be null and void to the actual payment of Tyler, because she has already went out and bought licensing. So it would be cheaper. I still stand to, if we did host it here, it would be cheaper overall every year than net data.
I've learned a lot about this hosting. I know the cloud, I've had some concerns over the cloud, but after talking to Tyler and net data, the cloud is more secure than the hosting, right?
Yes.
But you're wanting to host the system. That means we have to buy more servers and stuff like that and have more room, right?
Luckily, we already have the infrastructure.
Okay, so we're not going to have to add
That's
any more
correct.
infrastructure to the,
That is correct. We already have, and that's why we did it, and I
and your
know,
reason is going to hosting is you can repair it and not hire somebody outside to repair it, if something breaks down.
to an extent, yes, absolutely. And that was, I mean, again, myself or my staff is going to get yelled at regardless if it doesn't work.
But as far as security though, Drew, the cloud is more secure than us hosting, right?
Yes, in the sense of if anything ever did happen, I'll just state that, if anything ever did happen, it's not here. So whatever did happen couldn't affect the data or information because it's hosted elsewhere.
And that also brings up the point of we've had, not us, but other counties had the issues of hostage, holding us hostage for.
Ransomware?
Yes. And where is the more security there? The cloud?
That would be in the cloud. Because again, if something ever did happen here, the data, everything is not here. So that ransomware could not get the data since it's hosted elsewhere.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So,
However, let me jump, if I can continue real fast, I apologize. Now, if we do the hosted option, it was cheaper up front in a sense of capital expenditure money.
That was my
Because
next question.
it was going to be a lot lower than 1.5. It was actually around the 1 million range.
So the cloud is more expensive.
Yes, but your yearly maintenance is going to be a lot more, absolutely. And so we would be paying more if we did host it that way than what we currently do.
Okay, that was what I seen at the chart. One way, it's more expensive than the
Yes.
hosting versus the cloud or vice versa.
Yes, sir.
But that's either NetData or Tyler. either
That is
one.
correct.
There's
It is whatever
That's not
choice
an issue.
that- absolutely.
Which one of those
Absolutely.
softwares to go with. We've still got the issue whether we're going to maintain it locally or host it in the cloud.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure it's straight.
Both reps are here. I know they have the more technical fun knowledge of their platform. So if you do have any questions, but like I said, I know everyone has voiced their opinion, and I'm sure there's people that still want to talk about it. But I know everyone, again, last time voiced their opinion about it, and of course, the reps met independently with the whole court. So I was hoping that everyone has a good, solid foundation to make a good basis of what we want to do.
Drew, I got a question for you. I
Yes,
was
sir.
looking at this information that was sent to me about electronic fingerprints. It says Tyler, none? They don't have the ability to do electronic fingerprints? You do?
Would the time system be changed any? I know there were some issues about the timekeeping issue versus where we are now.
Yes, so to bring that point up, so if we did move to Tyler, that would be beneficial to the treasurer's office in the sense that Tyler has a module that, of course, snaps right in and talks directly to Tyler Encode. Because right now we have a third party, and with that third party, the treasurer's office has to double enter, essentially. And basically, they get a printout of everyone's time. And of course, the treasurer could speak a lot more detail than I am. Again, I'm doing a 20,000-foot, height analysis here. They basically take what they get from the third party, and then they manually have to do all the number crunching and then put that information into Tyler. Because still to this day, we have not been able to get Tyler and the third party to talk to each other. And we've been working on it, believe it or not, and we've spent countless man hours trying to do it, but still we're unable to do that. So right now they are still having to put those man hours in crunching the numbers and doing the time. So if we spent the initial $100,000 back at Fund 55 I brought up to buy the Tyler module for timekeeping, I believe it's ExecuTime if I remember correctly, then they would literally be able to export right out of the time clock right into Tyler, and they wouldn't have to do that. So you would save man hours, and I know the treasurer did bring up at that time that there could be, misentries or error entries because, again, you're moving and trying to put in multiple sets of data over and over again. So I know there could possibly be errors, so you eliminate that.
Can you buy just that one segment from Tyler?
Oh, yes, you can.
And what's the cost of that?
We would have to get a proposal for that. That wasn't included in part of our.
Yeah, I know this is just Odyssey, this judge, but I know the commissioner brought that up. ExecuTime is a completely different software from Odyssey.
This fee's not in that 1.5 million?
That's correct. We'd have to purchase it separately.
So I asked you this morning that, is it Tyler Odyssey? Is it we're changing to, or are we turning
Yes,
into
it is Tyler Odyssey.
Technology?
So it's
but
Tyler
Technology,
Odyssey.
Tyler Odyssey doesn't have the timekeeping, right?
That would be,
Technology is the company. Odyssey is one of the products, and ExecuTime is one of
So we're only doing that one product, and we're not talking about doing the one for
that
timing.
is correct. That would be
Okay,
another discussion.
That's another discussion.
Absolutely.
Well, we got to get the treasurer to agree to that.
But
I
if
think
you
she's
had-
already sold.
But if you had the ExecuTime, then you wouldn't have to, that would make your department fully functional, would just,
As of right now, when I take everyone's timesheets off, I have to manually calculate everyone's time, and it takes me a day and a half to calculate 375 employees. It's a lot.
right. But if you had the ExecuTime program, would that reduce the day and a half to how much? 30 minutes?
It'd probably be fast, but I don't know how they integrate right now. If we had time and attendance integrating with Encode, then it would probably be just.
It'd be instantaneous. It'd be automatic. It would be instantaneous.
It'd be instantaneous?
Yeah, that is correct.
And what's the cost of that?
It'd be 100,000. It's 100,000 to move to that.
100,000, a little better than at least, would your department need anything else to be fully instantaneously or that?
Automated.
So what we do right now is we actually print.
Come on, yeah. You've become such a great public speaker.
No, you're getting so good.
On payroll Mondays, you know, everybody has to have their time fixed. We trust that everyone's clocked in and clocked out, we hope. Departments heads have to go in and adjust times, add vacation, add sick, whatever. When that's completed, it's usually around 12 when we get everybody's time settled. We're able to print it off, and I have to, like I said, hand calculate everyone's time, which usually takes a day and a half. Once I hand calculate, the ladies will take the timesheets and actually enter it into Encode. So technically, we are doing a lot of extra that we should not be doing. And there's room for error in everything. My calculations, they're entering, just, there's a lot of...
$1 million question. Even if we go net data or Tyler, this still can be put in your deal either which way we go. So that's
Yeah, either way it goes. This one doesn't
rabbits
affect,
Yeah.
this doesn't
That needs
affect
to be
my
done
office.
regardless.
Yes, yeah.
That needs to be done regardless.
Thank you, Judge.
Why didn't you bring this up before?
We have. Yeah.
You didn't say it that clearly. Now I understand.
We actually brought it up during budgets, but it would be very helpful. I was just talking to Sonia today, you know, by the end of the day when I'm calculating, it's very, I don't want to say it's overwhelming, but your brain is just like functioning all these numbers, and there's room for error. Just not, like I said, not only my part, but the entering part as well. So, but today's decision will not affect me.
Okay.
Why are we talking about that right now?
I don't know.
I don't know. Now I think it's a
Hopefully that
good.
Can we get back to the agenda item?
Well, but I'm going to make your job easier for you. That's what I'm going to do. Unless they're, though.
Just let me just say that.
Put it on the agenda.
Yeah, we'll do that next time. Okay. All right, let's get back to this. Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question, Commissioner Beaver.
So we've done a lot of, as you pointed out, there's been a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion going on for the last few days, right?
Weeks, yes.
Well, I think it's hard to make a decision when you don't have all the information. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
You need all your relevant information to make a relevant and an informed decision, correct?
That is correct. However, sometimes you might not have all that.
Okay. So here's something I found out last week, for instance, And I'm not saying I'm leaning one way or the other, but when I met with the representative for Net Data, first, one of the things that I found out that we were told otherwise, we were told that we had to sign a 5-year contract, correct?
Correct.
At $35,000 a year, correct?
The first year.
Well, that's not, well, whatever the case, I don't want to sit here and split hairs. The bottom line is we found out, or I discovered last week, that we don't have to do a 5-year contract. That, as a matter of fact, all that has to be done with Net Data is to come upgrade the server that we've got to give us all the capabilities we need for the next 3 to 5 years, and it would be a continuation of what we're doing right now for about $40,000. That's the first thing. Okay. There were two issues with that. One of them was this 5-year deal that we're negotiating now, and we're not going to be held to that. Number one, and number two, that they can just update our server that we have on site for $40,000. Correct. Everything else remains the same. That's the second point. The next point is I've gone around and had discussions with lots of folks on both sides of this issue. And what I'm finding is that we don't have enough information yet, in my opinion. I believe, that's why I was very surprised that this is on the agenda when we had all these other items today. Because here's, in a perfect world, here's what I would like to see. Because I've heard passionate arguments on both sides of this, okay? Do you agree with that that's out there in this county?
Correct.
So why can't we, instead of sitting here for the next 2 hours arguing over this one more time, I think we've gotten closer. I think we've narrowed a lot of things down in the last few days. Both representatives have agreed to come to the county in the next few days, couple of weeks, whatever, and sit down, and we can have 2 workshops. We can have a workshop with the Tyler representative and whoever that person wants to bring to sit around at a table and let any stakeholder who wants come and talk and ask and explore. The Net Data representative has agreed to do the same thing, because I hear a lot in this county that if it's not broke, why are we going to fix it? Now, I've also heard that we're going to save a whole lot of money over time. I have not seen anything quantified to prove that. I've just heard that as an assertion. What I do know that if we go to Tyler right now, based on the numbers that we've been provided, we're going to be looking versus the $40,000 to upgrade our server and continue on as we are. We're going to be looking at $200,000 to $300,000 a year over the next 3 years to cover the difference to Tyler. So I'm in favor of giving. There's a lot of end users in this county that use both systems, and I know there's been talk ad nauseum out there, but I think, in my opinion, we shouldn't be making that decision today. We need to give everybody in this county who's using both of those, that we're basically, if we go to Tyler, we're going to be forcing many people to do it. That I'm not sure I'm ready to make that decision today. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, Gary, let me ask you this question on that 5-year contract. Wasn't that going to have to be done? That's why we're kind of.
So originally, a year and some change ago, when we initially discussed this, there was always 2 options: to host our own, to upgrade the server, like you said, or to go to a hosted solution. At that point in time, we didn't have the capital to do that. And therefore, it was cheaper to do the hosted solution, and that's what the court decided to do.
So let me make sure I understand what you just told us. It's going to cost us about $40,000 to upgrade the host. It was going to cost us $35,000 first year payment. How did we not? I don't recall. And of course, that was the first or second commissioner's court that 3 of us sat on. I don't recall that option, and maybe I need to go. Perhaps it was there. All I remember is the 5-year deal that we were offered, that we were presented and signed off on. Okay. I don't remember the server argument. If it's there, I'll stand corrected on that one.
Like I said, it doesn't bother me whether I just want a decision on what, I mean, at this point, I have more important things, honestly, that I need to do. So I'm just looking for a decision, whether we stay where we're at or whether we move all Tyler. And that's what I've said the last court.
And again, you've made a recommendation to us, too. Right? And you have made a recommendation.
Yes, and I've made a recommendation, absolutely. So it doesn't really bother me. I know there's been talk about being political. I personally don't care. We can continue doing what we're doing. I just want a decision.
They do that contract, right?
Yeah, either I mean, if we want to go away from the hosted to bring it back down and upgrade the server, then that's fine. Let's do that. Again, I just want a decision.
This budget, Becky, we've already set aside there's $1.5 million in the placeholder, so we could have workshops and stuff, and the money's still there, whether we decide to use it or not.
That's correct.
I mean, I just want to add real fast, Judge, I apologize. I just bring it up as because every time, no matter if you talk about net data or you talk about Tyler, it always gets brought up on, well, why are we using two systems? And that's kind of sort of how this kind of played out. As I was trying to move forward with net data to go to the hosted solution and keep net data. And that's when this whole thing got brought up again, and it gets brought up every time. And of course, again, I just want to point out that there are some features and man-hours saved for certain departments, just to point out why it would be even an option. Whether we do it or not, again, that's irrelevant to me, as you make the decisions, not me, Commissioner Eagle.
Well, Bruce, can you tell us why we even started with net data? I mean, no, sorry, Tyler. We had net data, and we started with Tyler. With pieces of it. Why?
So because of when the district clerk's office decided to go over to Odyssey, there has been multiple departments that had to dual enter the same information over and over again, because you have to satisfy both systems. And so again, that's where the benefit of moving to Tyler is you wouldn't have, the sheriff would only have to work in Spillman. He would only have to work in one system. He doesn't have to enter, again, information from Spillman and net data. There's a cost savings there. Do I have it down to the exact dollar? No, because that's not my department. Well, but there's still a cost savings and efficiency gain there.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'd forgotten to mention that. Thank you. That was another thing we found out when we spoke with net data people, is that actually they can do an interface.
I know, we found that too.
and where he doesn't have to do that. So that objection's not on the table anymore.
We found that too out. The same day before you found that out, we found out that information as well. Imagine that.
And if I could chime in real quick, so we found that out Thursday after being told that countless times that no, it's not able to interface. And then come yesterday, so the original plan was that NetData can reach out to DPS and pull that information from DPS and then pull it in. So we were told that it can be done that way. I got a call yesterday from a NetData rep telling me that actually it can, if Spillman can push out the data, it then can look at that data and put that data in. So we've only gotten this information in the last couple of days.
Okay.
After we've been told no several times.
Who told you no? Where did you get the information that
So I can pull those emails for you and provide it with you. I don't know an exact name of who's said no, because this has been a battle before I've been in the county. We wouldn't be sitting here forcing them to double enter for
in the past
4+, 5+ years if there was an option to do it.
So let me just get down to the chase. Has net data been communicated with by somebody in one of our departments in the last 2 years and voiced the issue that the sheriff has to enter twice to get to do his job?
So I don't know if it's been in the last 2 years, but there's only so many times you can ask a question before you just decide to give up because they keep telling you no. If they know that we have this issue, you'd think that if they suddenly had the ability, they'd love to come and tell us that now they can do it. That's just good business. You have a new feature, something that works, you provide it to the customer.
On their side of it, they can't read your mind.
And I can't read theirs.
But no, to answer your question maybe a little bit more, no, there hasn't been, that was the first time a rep has been in our office for years, since I've been appointed.
I know Erath County had the same problem. They kept saying, you know, we want this fixed, and got deaf ears, and finally they said, we're going to Tyler.
Yeah, so, I mean, going back to what
That's kind of what y'all been going through?
It's been a lot of it. You know, there's just a lot of progress we're trying to make that we were told no, and like I said, we just found out that it is possible. But I've not seen it in work, I've not seen it done, so whether it'll actually fulfill what we need or not, I can't tell you. I can tell you they've said that they can do it, and I'm willing to let them try to do it, but until I can see that it works and have Roger tell me that this is perfect, this gets rid of everything, then I just hold it as an unknown.
I'm not against one or the other. I think some departments are happy with one or the other, but I'm looking to the future, and if we have hang-ups, we want somebody to come and fix it. That's where I'm looking for. I want to get us into the future where we'll be ready to go and say, well, like one guy got up here and spoke, the commissioners bought Spillman, and it's the biggest mistake they ever made. I wasn't involved with that, but I don't want to be 4 years down the road, well, Commissioner Deaver screwed up, he didn't make the right decision to go into the future.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the main thing, like you say, we have no personal agenda or personal preference towards NetData or Tyler. Looking at it from a statistical standpoint, Tyler, I think, can provide more and is better for us in the long run. And, you know, we got thrown around that, oh, maybe we're getting rid of it because we don't know AS400. I've worked in 4 separate jobs that use AS400, 3 times as an end user and 1 as an end user and a manager. It's got nothing to do with us hating the software because we don't understand it. We're just looking at it from, in the future, which software is going to serve the county better and hopefully save us more time and money.
Court, just for me, you spoke, I can do the same. Coming from a corporate world, I've been there when we had 2 systems. It never worked. We finally bite the bullet. So I'm for 1 system. You want to go back to NetData? Fine, go there. If you want to go to Tyler, give me 1, because I don't think it works with 2 systems. It just doesn't work. You're duplicating. One can't talk to the other. Their competitors are not going to. So that's just my opinion from what level I see it. You got to have 1 system, and you're fighting a losing battle if you just stay with 2 systems, and you need to pick the best one. That's all I got to say, Judge.
Well, we've got a list of people here that want to say some stuff here, so I do this. I know, I'm really glad that Leanne said what she said up here, that she needs to fix, and it's not either one of them, it's Execu Planner or whatever you said that can fix that. I know that Ms. Kidd said the last time that she would like Tyler because it's easy for her to generate monthly reports or to do an audit that you wouldn't have to do since you're on Tyler.
My assistant's going to speak on that. She does this work.
Okay, good. Well, let's go ahead and listen to the people that are actually working with one another. So they filled out the public participation form, and the first one is Jeannie Stacks. Jeannie?
Okay. Our department uses NetData to issue the permits. At this time, we also issue the development permits for floodplain.
Pull this up so the people in the back can hear you, Jeannie. Mike, there you go.
Okay, we issue all our permits plus Clint heads the development department's floodplain permit. Last April of 19, I had been working for the department or the county roughly a month, and the office manager I had called NetData, and they completely deleted a receipt. I had no way to track it and no way to find any information regarding this receipt. It disappeared from the report and the system, and we had no way to track anything as to, did money change hands? Was it check? Was it cash? There was no way we could redact any of that information. Now, in that being said, if you move to Tyler, I do not think Odyssey does permitting. So you're going to have to purchase a completely different software for permitting. And
Is that correct?
That is correct. Intergov.
does Intergov talk to the regular Tyler system?
For the financial aspects of it?
Yes, for reports.
Yes, for
So
financial aspects.
you can merge, you can currently merge the Intergov report into Tyler.
Correct.
Okay. And that is something new that has happened in the past 18, 19 months?
Yeah, it's
with
an
Intergov?
integration that they've built.
Okay.
How much is that program, interface?
We'll have to get an estimate for that. Today was the first that one was brought to my attention, and so we had not previously proposed that product. Because that's outside of Odyssey. We've only been focusing on Odyssey.
Okay.
Clint, you talked that you're having to pay your payments through Genie.
Right.
What would it cost for you to have your own account?
For Tyler? I don't know. I mean, y'all talking about Odyssey, and I talked to her before court started, and she was telling us about the Intergov. So it was a whole different deal, so I didn't turn in my speaker card. But to move the money from the register of hers to mine, they were going to charge a reprogramming fee at Net Data. I don't know what that is. They'd have to reprogram. They'd have to reprogram hers or reprogram mine to move that register. Now, I already had a speaker card. I can't speak for Tyler because I've never used it. She's used it. But I can tell you that if you have a problem on NetD and Holly Cartwright's not there, you wait till she gets back. If you accidentally hit Shift F1 too many times, your register's done duplicated. And you can call her and she'll delete that register like she said, but it's pretty primitive. That's the only thing I was going to speak to. I can't speak for Tyler because I've never used it, but and if Holly Cartwright ever leaves, I don't know who would help us.
The system you own now, you call it primitive?
Well, that's why I brought up the question about, is this Odyssey? Is there other programs that we're not talking about that does with Tyler, other than Odyssey? And maybe we can't do that now because it's not on the agenda. As you said, Dave, we're not talking time and attendance. We're not talking Intergov. Is that something we come back later and cost us more money than it would be if we bundled it now with Odyssey?
Correct. It's a different cost. It's a different installation that we would have to do for the county.
Would it be cheaper to do it all at one time or piecemeal it?
Not necessarily, because
Okay.
we are dealing with different teams that implement that.
I just want to make sure that.
Okay. Okay, the second speaker is Melanie Beard. Hi.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Well, I've been in the auditor's office for almost 9 years, and I've had the opportunity to use both NetData and Tyler software programs. I was part of the migration team back in 2014 when we migrated from NetData to Tyler. So being on Encode has been life-saving. I run reports, monthly reports for the departments that have revenue. And so when I run these reports, I have to run Tyler reports and NetData because we have, both programs. Hands down, Tyler is much more user-friendly and much more better with Microsoft products, in my opinion. When I run these reports for NetData, and I have to go into several different steps to get the product in a working document for me, about 6 steps. When I run the report, I have to go in, and it's in a spoiled file, and then I have to put it on hold, I have to text export it, and then I have to save that, and then I have to go back in, grab that, and then I have to do it and move it around and break these lines and get it to where it's readable for me, and then I save it again, and then it's in a spreadsheet where I can view it. I mean, it takes several minutes for me to run a report like that, whereas with Tyler, I have my report in a couple of steps in just a few minutes. I mean, not even a few minutes, a few seconds. So you know, for me, it's just Tyler is a much more up-to-date system as far as net data goes. Net data just to me is out of date, just doesn't seem current. Another thing I would like to mention is that not only is Tyler more current than net data, I tend to have a hard time reading the net data reports. I get reports from the county clerk's office every month, and I almost have to squint and get my magnifying glass to be able to read them. And that might be something that net data can change, but I've never had it. And I get reports from...
That's actually something that I do. I change the size of the text, and I've never heard that argument before, so I will increase the size. But that's my doing.
Yeah. And then I get the reports from Odyssey, and so I'll let y'all see them for yourself.
So again, the size of the text is because I changed it to size 5. I could change it to whatever size you want.
That would be great.
Okay.
My eyes are not getting any younger.
Yeah, mine either. I agree.
Yeah. But I run them as well, and I don't, I get the same font size, so you'll have to show me how to do that. Okay, good. So that was one of my smaller complaints about it, like I said. But in addition to functionality issues, we have had multiple incidents, as Jeannie has mentioned, where a receipt has been deleted in net data. And an employee or the net data employee has done this. As an auditor, this is a huge vulnerability in my eyes. Both net data and county employees have been informed that receipts and or documentation are to never be deleted. Reversals and voids are the only acceptable practice for clerical errors. And numerous times I have emails and I went back several years where we've had this issue. Now, sometimes there is a server error or a server issue. We're dealing with that right now with Tyler Recorder. But we usually, we found out today that through Tyler, I think Owen spoke with someone at Tyler, and it cannot be deleted. A record cannot be deleted in Tyler. So that alone is huge for me.
How are they deleting stuff in net data?
How are they doing it? I honestly do not know. I do have an email that, like Jeannie was referring to in the health department, where Holly plainly says Holly deleted a receipt and deleted that record from me. So we have absolutely zero record. And like I said, that's a huge vulnerability. I mean, you can't have that. So,
I can talk to that. In my office, I use Odyssey, and it is impossible to delete a receipt. I mean, if you tried, you couldn't. It has to be reversed. So
reversal is perfect.
Yes,
we would much rather have a reversal.
Yes.
In that data, you can't, in the Cadence office, you cannot delete. It will not let you delete a receipt. It's been that way since probably 15 years. You cannot, you have to reverse and then re-enter the receipt. And sometimes with those reports that don't have a receipt, it's because we reversed them and put them back in, and the months just changed over. And remember, you let me know, and I run a new report.
Right.
But it's impossible, cannot let you reverse.
So we've had this issue in, not necessarily in the county clerk's office, but we have had this issue in the constable's office and the health department, just to name a couple.
So you have proof there has been deleted?
I have proof, yes. Well, I mean, in an email, yes. So if you ask me, like Commissioner Cotton said, one system across the board, I mean, it's just so much easier. I'm not having to go back and forth. My only job is not just to run reports, but it does seem like it takes me much longer to run reports for net data than it does for Tyler. with all that being said, I do think it would be beneficial to move to Tyler. I do understand the cost that's involved, but the consistency that we would gain across the county far outweigh the cost, I believe. And as always, as Becky and several others have said, you know, we're always willing to help in any office with that transition if y'all decide to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel.
Commissioner White, there was a time when you could delete receipts and net data. It was a function. Yeah. And we fought really hard to have that removed from the software so that a department could not delete. When that option was no longer available, some of the employees just called net data to get it done because they were either new or scared that they had made a mistake, and so they thought that was the only option. It's not a good option, and we've fought that for a long time. And again, it happened recently with Jeannie, even though we had asked net data repeatedly. Stan McBroom sent them a letter. Please don't delete receipts. Don't do it. We have no trail when you do it.
Okay. Clint Head, the next speaker. You already spoken? Okay. All right. The next is Dallas Osborne.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Dallas Osborne. I'm with NetData GHS. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak, albeit briefly. So what we have here is basically some proposals in front of you guys to either switch the NetData offices to Odyssey or to basically reinvest in a server with NetData. I think the number was thrown out as about $40,000, or there's the hosted option of about $20,000 a year. Okay, I think this court heard overwhelmingly from the end users that are currently using NetData products that they like the user experience with NetData, they like the application and how it works for their offices. Okay, Dean Armstrong and Katie in the county clerk's office, the disposition rate for her office is about 98%. The state mandates 90%, so the office is running very efficiently. They're reporting to the state very efficiently. I ran the OCA numbers for your justice courts that are utilizing NetData. Their disposition rate over the last 5 years is 99.1%. 212 cases that have been entered in your justice courts since 2015 basically have been undisposed. 42 a year. So the courts are running very efficiently. The end users of NetData products are very happy. In fact, you've heard people come to this Commissioner's Court this morning asking you guys for resources. All they're asking you for is to let them use what they're currently using, save that $1.45 million, reinvest in either a new server or a hosted solution, keep the end user NetData happy. We can certainly work with the financial folks if they're having reporting issues. I wasn't aware of that. If there was a receipt that was deleted, and I think I heard the name Stan McBroom, that was obviously years ago, but certainly was an issue. That shouldn't have happened. Maybe we made a mistake on that. I can't promise you perfect support on the back end. We're not in the habit of deleting records for customers. So if that happened, I'm sure we made amends for it. It's the oddity. It's the exception, way exception. Our system really doesn't allow for it. So this Commissioner's Court, I see that the agenda item, you can save $1.45 million, make the end users happy, give them the applications they want. I mean, you've got tough decisions to make. This ain't one of them. Save your money. Keep the end users happy. I'll certainly answer any questions you guys have on the NetData front, but this all got thrown into, I was under the assumption we were going to have a workshop in the coming weeks in Hood County to maybe address some of the reporting issues. We've never gotten that opportunity to have the sit down with the elected officials. We'd love that opportunity, at least just table this agenda item. But I'll certainly answer any questions you guys have, but we're playing a little catch up on this because I didn't realize things had gotten to the point that it's on the agenda to replace us. It happened last week, and I remember texting Judge Castillo and talking to Dean Armstrong, and they were even unaware that it was going to be on the agenda. So I couldn't be here. I was in Commissioner's Court somewhere else. So any questions you guys have about NetData, I'd love to answer them. Better yet, let's have a workshop, sit down and discuss what we can offer and what's the direction of our company and how we can offer better services to Hood County.
How long have you been with NetData?
18 years. I had hair when I started.
What?
I had hair when I started. It's slowly diminishing. Got a little left.
Let me ask you this. Did you hear Melanie Baird when she was saying that she could get the report so much easier using Tyler than she could with NetData?
Yes, sir.
Is there some other kind of application that you can do that you could help her with her job, or she could do it so much quicker and easier?
Reporting is one of the things we typically hold our hat on. It's much like support. We pride ourselves on the ability to develop reports to make people's jobs easier. There's a lot of counties, Hood County is one of them, where you're using net data, but it's not exclusive. You've got a financial program. Your SO is using a third-party system as well. So developing interfaces and making the ease of data transfer better, absolutely. We'd love to sit down. Is there a better way that we need to develop a report? Do you need it in a certain format? Something that you could upload possibly into ENCODE. That would be the opportunity at a workshop to sit down and say, what can you offer us on that front?
There will be a cost associated with that.
Well, potentially.
Because we have gone down that road before. And nothing personal, but I know how she runs those reports. I used to do that.
Sure.
And it is extremely time-consuming.
Right. Well, and you know, I'm not saying it's not. It's separate systems. However, is it reports for which offices? All of them?
Anybody that's on net data,
Okay.
with constables, JPs. But what I'm trying to say is, when we talk to them about it, we have a module for auditor that you probably just give us so that we can have basic functions.
Yes.
And in order to do it properly, to have the right net data components to do our job properly, it's going to cost us, because we have talked about that. And the previous auditor said, we'll make it work. We don't want to spend any more money. We've already moved to Tyler. We need to make it work. So that's what we're doing. We're making it work.
Are you relying on the offices to send you reports?
We also verify them.
Okay.
They can send us any kind of report. The reporting for you and Tyler, everybody can get a report. There's no issue with getting a report.
Sure.
But when we verify the report by running our own reports, that's the key there. We need to verify on our end, are they sending us the proper information? Is a receipt missing? We audit every monthly report.
Sure.
So that's where it comes in that she's having such a difficult time.
We would love the opportunity to sit down and maybe figure out a better way to do that. If it's developing a new report, I'm not going to promise you a charge on that, a fee or no fee. It's not a lot of work on our end to develop that stuff, giving you guys access to maybe run your own reports within our system. I'll say this. We rolled out ICON, a completely new Justice of the Peace case management program back in 2014, 2015. New development team at NetData, new rewrite, looks very different than what Katie's office uses, and we're going to roll out WinCourt for her offices down the road. But we didn't charge Hood County for that upgrade, okay? It was part of just the annual maintenance and support fee. You guys were under a maintenance and support. You got the new version, even though it really was a completely new product. So maybe some of the reporting features in ICON for the justice courts is a little different than maybe what you're used to.
I'm quite familiar with ICON.
Okay, so there's that. But we'd love the opportunity to sit down. I mean, I'm just finding out these issues.
ICON is not as cumbersome.
Right.
I mean, I tend to like it
Okay.
much better.
Well, great. We're very proud of it, and it's what we're going to be pulling. We're in development for Katie's offices as well, the county and district court level. But there are things we can do. The Spillman interface, if you talk to a NetData representative in the past about the Spillman interface for your sheriff's office, the answer was probably no, because we don't have an interface. We're not going to oversell you guys on, we've got it, it's in place. We don't have an interface, and I can't even promise you an interface with Spillman because I need to talk to Spillman. Are they willing to give us the data in a format that we can work with? It takes basically two entities there to make that integration work. I can speak on our behalf. We do have a download from DPS for like integrated seizures reporting, so it's kind of agnostic to what your SO is using. We can just pull directly from the state for basic bookend information. But if you want more detailed case management information to flow into the attorney's offices, well, we can certainly look at that. Again, maybe have a workshop for that. You don't need to spend $1.45 million before you at least talk to us and let us explain what we can offer you. At the very minimum, the server that you bought in 2013 that's still running, you can emulate that for about $40,000. Go buy your fire trucks, sheriff's deputy cars. You've got other needs here. Hire your staff, give them better raises, whatever. You don't need to spend $1.45 million.
I'm sorry, I missed it. What's your name?
I'm with NetData, if you can't tell.
What's your name?
My name's Dallas Osborne. I'm with NetData. Director of Sales, been here 18 years.
Dallas.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Judge, any questions for me? No. No? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next is Denise Weaver. Ms. Weaver? I know this lady. See her about 6 times a day. So go. I know that you're speaking for Judge Tuggle because he's recovering from surgery right now.
Yes.
Okay.
based?
I would really like to first and foremost say thank you for letting me be here, but if there is the opportunity that there is going to be, if this is going to be tabled, I really don't want to waste your time. You know, I mean, I've got things prepared, but if it's going to be tabled, I just would like to be respectful of your time and everyone else's time. So, I'm here again. You know, Net Data gives the JP courts all that we need, and it's a program for our office. We are the people's court, and it's our job to represent our elected officials, and our first responsibility is to be a service of the public. In addition to that, we must report to other elected officials, OCA, auditing, and to follow state laws. We have to be versed in criminal and civil matters. As a JP court, we have to be able to move at any time to take care of environmental charges, assault charges, speeding charges, animal citations, take complaints from BRA, Parks and Wildlife, and to handle civil matters. We're unique as we do not get to sit at one desk and do one thing. We are a group of generally 2 people that have to be versed in many different things. And so we could have an attorney come in, and the next thing we could have a deputy sheriff come in, or we could have a constable come in, and we certainly have ample amounts of defendants that come in that we have to be able to service. We have a program that allows us to do just that. And we bring lots of revenue into the county. Are we the highest revenue in the county? Absolutely not. But we more than pay for our services to the county. I've given you guys some examples of some emails that I've collected over one day. In that, you will see that they've said that you're setting up your office and county up for failure. NetD is a much better program, and I've highlighted these exact quotes in your emails so you can see that I am not embellishing anything that I'm giving you. Ask your commissioners how much of their county resources are they prepared to put into making the software function. It's a JP clerk's worst nightmare. Going to that system will give those clerks a lot of work and frustration. When it does not convert correctly, they will blame the county employees. Losing GHS was one of the biggest mistakes this county made. And so I've provided that. Now, I am sure, given time, someone else can go out and get those same emails with their testimony against GHS. I'm not going to dispute that. We can call Net Data in a moment. In a moment, we can get them on the phone. They always answer their phones. If their customer service reps are busy, we get a phone call back. I promise you, within 10 minutes. We do not have to complete a ticket and wait for them to get back to us. We can call them and say that our judge wants private collections waived or cleared, or they want Omni waived. They never ask us to justify the decision that's made by the court. They will always do exactly what you want us to do. I don't know who's deleting receipts. I do not believe that JP4 has ever deleted a receipt. I am unaware of any of that. We actually sign things for the auditor every year saying that we will not delete anything. So that is a big issue. We are not JP4, and I'm certain the other JPs are. We don't delete receipts. And if there's we've not been advised that there's any report that we haven't been turning in. I have asked what reports are we missing, and I've not gotten any answer on that. I would requestfully request, do you like that? I would welcome the opportunity to sit down with any of you. I would welcome the opportunity for any of you to come into our office and see what a JP clerk does, how many times we have to turn over, how many phone calls we get, how many different scenarios that we deal with on any particular day. Because like I said before, we are not specialists. We have to be extremely versed. We have to be able to call dispatch, recall warrants, and at the same time answer a phone or be at that counter and make sure that someone isn't being arrested for something that we didn't do. This system is good for us. Now, there are 3 of your 4 JPs that want to stay where we're at. I don't know what to say about that. And Judge Tuggle is not here. He would like to see that this is tabled. Give us a chance. Give Tyler their chance. Give Net Data their chance. If there are problems, let's work to fix it for a lot less money. I do personally think that we owe it to the public to do the best we can with the resources that we have available to us. I understand spending money. I get it. But there's 3 of the 4 JPs that are not asking for this change. So that is Judge Tuggle's request. He would like to see it tabled. He could not be here. Like I said, the other girls in the office, we have 1 other full-time person and a part-time person. Our part-time person comes in 1 day a week. Come in and please sit with us and talk to us and we're the ones that are running the program. We're the ones that are doing the work. The judges is the one making the decisions that are important. So that's all I've got. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Denise. Okay. Soon to be Judge Dub Gillen.
Morning, gentlemen, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you. I don't have a dog in this fight yet. He's still on his leash. But come January, since I have no opponent in November, I will be the incoming justice. And I was notified of this last week. I've been going fast and furious. Yesterday I spoke to 12 people. Today I've spoken to 2. And I still hear things that I don't have an answer for. And I am anxiously and willingly trying to get caught up to this. I've been married for 34 years. And the reason why, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I'm now going to be working with this fantastic lady, Denise. And if she isn't happy, my office isn't going to be happy, as well as the clerks. I've spoken with other JPs. This is the system they want, and I'm understanding this is a system that specifically works great for JPs, maybe not so others, but I'm still trying to catch up. I've spoken with a couple of you. I still have questions unanswered. I can't say that I love Net Data, haven't worked with it. I can't say that I like Tyler, I haven't worked with it and spoken with them. But just a few things I've heard, our rate that is at 99%, that I just heard today, Mr. Osborne, our disposition rate, that sounds like it's working fantastic. And Commissioner Eagle, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. We can be better stewards with that money. So I had all this to say, but you've already heard it. And I would just like a couple more weeks. I would love a workshop with Tyler and Net Data so I can understand, because I'm behind the curve and I'm trying to catch up as fast as I can. Speak with each one individually, as well as the auditor and the treasurer and Tona with the district, everybody. I want to hear, because as a judge, that's what I have to do as well. I need all the information before I can make a correct decision. So I respectfully request you table this, please, and let us get just a little bit more information. I know I've heard 3, 5, 6 years, several months. What's a couple more weeks? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Gillen. All right, our next speaker is Sherry Remington from Tyler.
Morning, Commissioners. And thank you for letting me come back and talk to you. I've talked to most of you probably in the past week, just kind of a little bit about our system and what we can offer the county. I did want to point out a couple of things that in this discussion that we're having today, we need to make sure that we're looking at the full picture here. We're talking about the end user's experience with NetData. We're talking about the end user's experience also with Tyler. But if the county's goal is really that we need to have a unified system, that's what we need to focus on and what that benefit is to the county. We had some discussions last week talking about what that really meant and being able to share data across all of your offices so that you get a holistic picture of an individual as they're coming into your court for whatever reason, whether it's a criminal matter, civil, family matter, all of those items. And so I think that in this decision, we talked about you can spend the $40,000 and upgrade your NetData servers and keep Odyssey in the district clerk's office. That still doesn't provide you with that unified view and that unified data and that one source of information. Moving to Odyssey for all of your offices would help provide that so that we can have a fully integrated county. The other thing that I wanted to mention is change. We did hear a lot from the auditor talking about the county's growing. This county continues to grow. It's projected to grow more in the future. And we need to make sure that you're positioned in a way that allows you to grow with your population. And so upgrading your systems now is something that can put you in that position so that you're already up to date on the most current technology and you have a system that's scalable that can grow with your population and serve their changing needs. This year, in particular, we've seen those needs change with the pandemic. We're now doing videos, we're doing Zoom court calls sometimes. Citizens are going online to meet their needs more than ever. We need to be able to provide that access to them, whether it's through your online portal, other online things that we can provide. Tyler is also the vendor for eFile Texas, and so e-filing is a system that we already run, and we integrate automatically with that with our Odyssey products. When I met with your JP offices yesterday, we talked about that, where whenever they are reviewing items in e-filing currently, they then have to enter that information into NetData. With our system that automatically integrates. So a clerk clicks one button to accept a filing, and it automatically creates their case, pulls their financials in, their documents, everything without them having to do any additional data entry. Those are the types of efficiencies that come inherently with Odyssey. It's not something that we have to build separately or rework. Those are already there within our system. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the security around this. We've had conversations today, and there's been multiple points of that, about hosting this in the cloud versus hosting it on premise. In our proposal that you have in front of you, I think the number's been thrown around a little bit wrong. It's actually standing at about 1.1 million, and that includes your current contracts that you already pay. We have a hosted solution in the cloud where you then have the protections that you need to prevent any ransomware attacks, any other hacking that may happen, as well as backups. We have disaster recovery in place. You have backups that come with that and the protections. Ransomware attacks are happening. They've been happening in Texas for the past year in counties around you, counties across the state. And so it is a real risk, and you want to make sure that your county is protected against that, and our solution can provide that. Any questions that you have for me?
No, we had a good session last week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker is Brandy Smith. I know this lady well.
Thank you, gentlemen, for letting me come up here and speak. I'm Brandy Smith. I work at the District Attorney's Office. I'm the intake coordinator, so I am the one that works directly with with our clerk's office to do all of our indictments. All of our new cases, I do all the intake, and they all go through the indictment process and integrate with the clerk's office. And I'm also the go-between between the sheriff's office and our office. So currently, we are on NetData. We are on the kind of the mid-range section of NetData. We're not in the old green screen, the really old one, but we're not in the new icon like the JPs are either. So we don't have quite the functionality, excuse me, that the JP's office has. With our office, it will save us, if we were to convert to Tyler, it would save us countless hours of time, man-hours, because currently we can pull from, the sheriff's office is having to enter into 2 different systems, Spillman and NetData. Then we are able to pull from that, but then once it pushes to our clerk's office is on Tyler currently, so those systems do not talk together. So I have to spend countless hours preparing documents so that our clerk's office will have the proper information that they need to then manually enter into Tyler all of the information for our new indictments. So it will save time, man-hour time, both from the sheriff's office not having to enter into 2 different systems, me not having to create extra documents, and then our clerk's office not having to manually enter all of their new cases again. We will be able to talk between our clerk's office in our computers. Our computers will be able to talk to each other with the systems. Currently, we do not have that integration because we are currently on 2 different systems. Also with the e-filing. E-filing currently with NetData, we have to go into our NetData, create the documents, then we have to go into a completely different system in order to e-file everything. With Tyler, that is integrated into the system, and so it is basically a 1-button push to push that through to e-file. A little more than that, but definitely less steps than it is for us to e-file currently. So for our office, it would be beneficial for us to be on the same system as our clerk's office is on so that we have a more integrated system. So that is our opinion for our office.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That's what I was talking about. I mean, I can see with Tona being on Tyler and the DA's office wanting to be on Tyler, that makes sense, but the district clerk and the DA don't have anything to do with the JP, do you? Do you, Mr. Sinclair?
I'm sorry, Judge, I didn't hear your question.
I said, I understand with Tona being the district clerk and you being the district attorney, and hearing from Brandy, which was a very good presentation about how it works to have Tyler, since Tona's already on Tyler, but you don't have anything to do with the JP courts, do you?
No, sir, and we can't speak to the product that the JPs are using. It's my understanding they're on ICON. We do not have that product from NetData. We're on a different version of NetData. So I'm not sure how ICON works. I don't know if it's similar to the new Tyler product, but JPs are on a different NetData product than we are. So our analysis is just from the NetData product we're currently on versus the Tyler product that's being proposed. We cannot speak to ICON. And I really don't care what we use as long as it works and my people are happy. So yeah. I've gone to my staff. We've talked over the differences between NetData and Tyler. Both reps from both companies have met with my office last week. We've discussed afterwards, and it looks like Tyler does provide some efficiencies that we could achieve moving to Tyler. We can make both systems work. We've been making NetData work for a while now. We can continue to make it work, but Tyler does offer some efficiencies compared to the NetData product we're using now.
That's very good. Thank you. I understand what Commissioner Cotton says, because in my prior office, that's what we did too. We couldn't have part of the people working on one system and somebody else on another system, and we converted it all. I just wonder if in government it could be more compartmentalized, though. I don't want to make every JP and every constable here in Hood County mad at me. And good luck. Good luck. Yeah. I see Kevin Andrews back there just laughing right there. You'll be up here soon enough. But I just don't. Well, I don't know. That was very good. Thank y'all very much for that. Okay, Judge Howell. I think we all know who he is. Who's that guy? Yeah.
Who let him in here?
We know who he is. Okay. Okay, Judge Howell.
Judge, Commissioners, I think that I agree with what was said earlier. I wasn't here for the entire court, but I've got the gist of what was said. I don't think that anybody has enough information all gathered up at one place to make a decision about this amount of money. But I will say, I don't explain things very well because I don't have a very good command of the English language, so I have to use examples. But for my office, for what we do in our office, just because a new pickup comes out with a bigger screen for the backup camera and a fancy tailgate doesn't mean that the old pickup doesn't carry the load. So I saw a presentation for Tyler yesterday. It was well done. There's some features in there, but to me, it looks like we're pretty good where we're at. So that's all I've got to say. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I like what you just said, Judge. One size don't fit all. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Howe. Okay, the next speaker is Roberta Stringer. Good morning.
Good morning. I wasn't planning on talking today, but here I am. So I work in the county attorney's office. I listened to both presentations from both, and I'm kind of a very techie person as it is. My husband's worked in computers and computer storage with Dell for over 24 years. I kind of took this information back to him, kind of talked to him about the differences in the programs. But to me, the efficiency of Tyler and the time it's going to save and the ease of the program, from what I can tell, is going to really help the county if it went county-wide. I think Brandy mentioned about the e-file system, where currently we're having to, do quite a few different steps to download, save, then e-file, then download again to put it with the file, whereas the Tyler system, it's kind of a click of a button. The discovery for our office would be a big thing. The discovery in Tyler, you would be able to upload all your videos and such in Tyler, whereas now it's DVDs and USBs and, constant time in sharing those with the attorneys for discovery. Overall, I just think the Tyler interface is, a lot more put together, a lot more high-tech, and, honestly, a lot better. NetData works. We make it work for our office, but for me, it's just kind of old school. So, I mean, the way I feel about it, though, is if, not necessarily the JPs, but the clerk's offices, the attorney's offices, we all have to make this switch together if we choose to do that. Because I was talking to Brandy, and she's kind of explained how her clerk's office and their office, she has to double input the information and go back and change things. And it's a process. So I think the efficiency of, everyone on the county moving to Tyler or staying with NetData together would benefit the county. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker, Kristen Hicks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know that, excuse me, my voice, my daughter has a softball tournament, so I'm losing my voice this weekend. Anyways, I know that I spoke with several of you over this last week and did not get to speak with Commissioner Eagle or White about my views on both systems, because I have worked personally in Odyssey, the current Odyssey that, it's a little bit different version of what the JP it offers the JP, but we did get to demo that yesterday. And honestly, after walking out of that, I know the judge and I both were just mind blown because I knew that it could offer us so much more efficiency, because I've worked in Odyssey before, but the amount of things that she went over and showed us yesterday was amazing. And I don't know why anyone would want to not move to that, because it is such a great, and it can the efficiency of our office would be so much more. And just like, I know the district clerks and the district attorney and county attorney, county clerk's office don't have anything really to do with our office necessarily, but like she was showing us yesterday that like if they had a warrant out of a district court or, you know, out of the county clerk's office, we would not currently know that. So if that person came into our office with a KPS warrant or something like that, we would not know that. There's no way unless, I mean, I do have access to Spillman, but I do not have the time or the resources to go to Spillman every single time to see that, you know, to see. So we may let someone go that's in our office that, you know, has a KPS warrant out of one of their offices. But like she showed us yesterday, there would be a red W on that. And it's hard for us to tell you guys like how it would help our offices because y'all don't work, you know, in our system and see what the functionality that we have now versus what we could have. And if we move to the system, yes, I'm totally fine if you guys stay with the current system. You know, it is what it is, it's your decision, but I'm just saying that it would help our office in efficiency, time management, all of those things, like I said. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You work off of net data now, but you do understand the Odyssey programs.
Yes, I worked in the district clerk's office for 2 years before coming into the JP office to be the office manager there.
So in layman's terms, you're saying that Tyler Odyssey can make your office more efficient, right?
Yes, 100%.
And talk to Net Data to see if they can do the same thing?
Yes, I did talk with them last week, and there are some things that they were going to try to work on. We did ask, the judge and I asked them about the e-filing integration. They said it's currently in production in their end, but still could not give us an ETA on when that could happen or when that was going to be available for the JPs. And I did want to bring up one more thing was, I know that Denise had talked about, you know, reaching out to other offices that are currently have moved from Net Data to Johnson County, and I did that as well. And so what I found was that, yes, they were grumbling, you know, several of them were grumbling and stuff in the beginning, but now that they have fully moved and have been on that system for a long time, they are very happy. And when I spoke with the Tyler representative yesterday about that, you know, the grumbling and this and that kind of didn't really appease people, she stated to me that those offices in Johnson County specifically did not attend the training. So if you don't go get trained on the new system that you're being forced to use, obviously you're going to have issues with not being able to properly use that system. So the offices that did go and use it and train it and, you know, learn the system, then they were very happy from the very beginning of it.
I guess I'm only court member that was on when Tona went to Tyler, and there was some grumbling. And when the treasurer went into it, there was some grumbling. But once they got onto it, they said, I'll never go back. It's so much efficient. And I'm not selling one over the other, because I know there's some headaches, and there's people, it was hard learning the system. But once they got onto it, they said, their office is far more efficient. I quit, and I'm not dinging Net Data. Can Net Data bring the same thing to the table? That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, and
Christian, I want to
not
ask
at
you
this time.
something. How long did it take you to get acclimated to the Tyler system?
Whenever I first went to Tona's office, when I transferred from the TAC office, and I went to Tona's office. I mean, I was using the system by myself within a week, or less. But I am technology savvy, you know, too. I mean, I do. But I strive to learn new things. You know, I want to learn new things. So it took me about a week, and I told Tona that I didn't need any, you know, training, and she was like, okay with, you know, happy with me being able to use the system by myself, and was able to train other people whenever they came into our office. And on the Tyler jury system, the same thing. I helped Leanne, it was Leanne and I in there together at that point, and we did the jury system together, which is another form of Tyler.
But it's worked with net data. Can you kind of looking at it, you've trained people before. How long do you think that if the county switched over to Tyler, how long do you think it would be before, like, the JP offices would be functioning smoothly?
Well,
like they are now with a 99.1% efficiency, which is...
Well, I don't think that that should change at all, because you're still inputting the same information. It's just different screens that you're going to be inputting it into. So that should not change at all. But they stated yesterday that they will be in our offices when we go live for the first, 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks, with boots on the ground in our office. So one person is assigned to each and every office to help train every employee in there. And they are going to make sure that you have the capability to do your job the way you should be doing it. And they also have a Tyler University that is online help. She even stated to us yesterday that we could put our own office policies into an iHelp, that if we hit F1, which I know you guys don't understand, but if we hit F1, then that pulls up a help resource guide in our office, in our and it can have our own policies in it. So what our judge wants us to do when that person comes in to request deferred, when they request driver safety course, those things can be put in there. It's going to be as great as you want it to be, or not if you don't use it the way that you should or can.
With the price tag of $1.5 million we're talking about here, you talked about and said there is going to be efficiency. I know it's hard to quantify how long it would take the county to recoup the cost of $1.5 million. You don't have any kind of guesstimate on that, do you?
No, I don't. That's not my department. I'm just
trying to put the blame on you.
Oh, no. Hey, I'll take it. I mean, it's whatever.
Your Honor, it calls for speculation.
And the other thing that I did speak with Commissioner Eagle after court last week, just, briefly in a moment, was that the other thing that Tyler can offer the JPs as well is an online portal, and I know that Tyler representative did speak about that a little bit, and she may have said that to y'all in your individual meetings, but because we currently don't have anything like that. The district clerk's office does, but we currently don't have anything like that. So that would help in our office too, because we would not have civil attorneys calling our office constantly, hey, when is this court date scheduled? When is this scheduled? This or that, because guess what? They can look up online and it's on there. It's in their case that says, this hearing is set for September 25th at 9 a.m.
And is that function not available on that data? Right?
Not for the JPs, to my knowledge, at this point.
Dallas, is that correct? Do you know anything about that function, which, being an attorney, that would save a lot if there was a portal that an attorney could go to find out when their case is set?
Like web enabling information? Yes, so some counties do that, some don't. Sometimes we rely on like a local webmaster to kind of put it out there for them. But making viewable access of information. Also, the e-file integration that we have with justice courts is coming as well. So that would be a big load off of not only attorneys, but also the clerks in the justice courts. Tom Green County, which we converted from Tyler, oddly enough, a few years ago, was our beta site for our JP e-file integration. But if that's something you guys want to open up as far as web enabling information to let outside attorneys, kind of like we have e-discovery for the county and district attorney's office, something we can certainly look at. I don't know if we have it in place yet, but
yeah,
y'all do that now?
No.
No? Okay. Yeah.
Good. Learning stuff every day.
Yeah. You too. Another 5
Any more
years, Judge, you'll have
questions?
it down perfect.
Yeah. Okay, you
Any
want to
more
say something
questions?
else?
No, I was just making sure you didn't have any more questions for me.
No, well, thank you. You've been very helpful.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you all
Really
very
have been.
much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak?
Can I I'll wrap it up. You forgot your
right.
judge.
How could I? Judge Castillo. I've known this guy well, too.
Yes, sir. All right, Commissioners and County Judge. Yes, sir. We discussed this several times about what net data and what Tyler can do and so forth. Like I said, there was supposed to be a workshop to be done about let them, each individual be able to do that and get some of these answers for you, what can be done, what cannot be done. So my office runs efficiently with the system I have now. That's what we've been doing. That's what we have been. Like I said, we can contact net data at any time to discuss what issues we have. We don't have to wait 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or anything else like that. We don't have to put a ticket in to get something done. Also, there is that PID system that we have with net data. It tells you a warrant out there on any system, on any other person's out there. So I don't know what that was about. I mean, like I said, if we put a system in, if I put in a warrant, a felony warrant, it tells me there's a warrant in JP's office, one. It tells me there's a warrant somewhere else. I mean, there's some systems out there, like I said, it works for us. So as a JP's office, I did view the Tyler system in there. There's some other options in there that we know they're different from net data just because they're different systems. Now, saying that, was it enough to pay $1.5 million for those differences? I don't think so. So this is where we're at. If we had a workshop to be able to give them the opportunity to talk to y'all about this a little bit more in depth, get those issues talked about, what can be done in each office, what is lacking in each office, what can they be done. For myself, other JPs, we were happy with what we have. It works. Like Cotton said, the new truck doesn't necessarily mean it works for the other offices. If Tyler works great for the other offices and they do what they need to do, that's great for them. I'm worried about my office and what it can do for me and what I can do for the constituents and how much money we're going to save to be able to do that. So this is where I'm at on this. Any questions?
That makes sense.
Sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Judge, I got one question, and give Tyler and net data a chance. This is kind of for net data and Tyler.
Okay.
There's certain issues that we can do and can't do. I guess if we do have a workshop, I'd like for y'all to just tell us what you can do and can't do. I don't want a sales pitch. I want what you can do. I can't do this. Maybe later we can. That's what I want to know.
That's a good point there. I'd like to have a workshop where both Tyler and net data are together, not separate. And when we say, well, here's the function here, like we were just saying about a portal on the deal, say, well, do you have this? Well, yes, I do, about this interfacing here that we just talked about here. Yes, I can probably do that for $30,000 or $40,000. And just look at this. So, you know, we don't have to spend the money just because we have it there, Becky. Is that correct? It'll be there, and we can have some time to have a workshop with maybe both parties present to answer some questions. I feel like with Judge Gillum, I kind of feel for his position. I know how it is coming in a judge, and I also know that it's important to have happy, good employees that like working too, and that's important too. That's kind of a...
Yeah, I got one more question for Tyler and net data. I know the DA and the treasurer would like some more things added with Tyler. If the court so decides not to go with all the way with Tyler, can we fix some of the problems that was discussed with the DAs and the treasurer's office and still stay with net data?
So currently the DA is not on Tyler.
Right.
So they would have to purchase the Tyler system if they want to integrate completely there on that side of it.
But can we do that with not going full-fledged
Absolutely.
Tyler? And the treasurer's office also? With some of her issues?
Correct.
No, I mean, I'm preparing y'all for the workshop so you won't get blindsided.
We can have a hybrid type system,
You can't, you have that now.
but you can improve it, right? Or You know, I'd like to have a workshop too, because I mean, this way we can have pros and cons. Like the judge says, you know, if you get both people in the room, this one can say, I got it, I don't have it. I can't fix it, I can, or both of you can fix it. You know, there's a lot of questions still to answer.
Well, and Commissioner, that was the plan, as I understood it, was we were going to have a workshop, and then this thing showed up on the agenda last Monday, unbeknownst to me, a lot of the other elected officials here. So that was always the plan was, hey, what else can you offer us? So we welcome the opportunity.
Because we may find out that there's some things in here we can fix, you know, without spending $1.5 million.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
We could wait till January 1st.
No, I'm not for that.
How about 2 more years when I'm out of office?
That way we'll
I'm not
make
for that
nobody
either. I'm not for kicking the can down that road, but I think that we could have a workshop and then we're finding out more and more, and I think it's beneficial for everybody. I think what's really benefiting here is the county. We're finding out more and more, and I think the county is the one that's really benefiting here.
I've learned a lot just talking to Nat Data and Tyler and some of the elected officials of what's going on in their offices.
Well, do I hear an appropriate motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table this for further discussion.
Only if you put a date on there for the workshop. You put a date on the workshop, I'll vote for it, not 2020.
Well, it needs to be ASAP, yes. Within
a date.
I can't put a date today because I don't have my schedule.
How about a month?
30 days?
How about a month?
Within 30 days. How about this? Within 30 days, we have a workshop, and I'd like to have both representatives there with their IT people or whomever. I think, Sherry, you got it, but with y'all. And let's see what we can do for the benefit, not of Tyler, not of Data, and not for the commissioners, but for Hood County, okay? Let's have that in mind. Yes, Mr. Soon-to-be Commissioner Jack Wilson.
You need to have either the data available or your people available that have the knowledge of what the dollars are going to be. That has to be there then.
I agree with you. I agree. We've gone over this, so y'all know the questions that are going to be asked and what it's going to be cost to hook up and make it run smoothly. So let's do that. So the motion's been made by Commissioner Deaver to have a workshop within the 30 days. Second by Commissioner White. Any further discussion?
Cage match, I'm ready.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.